lost in space and almost dead. The stars outside the window were silent. Nothing moved. Nothing spoke. The spaceship floated in the middle of space like a forgotten toy. Inside, the lights blinked slowly, one by one turning red. Life support was down. Engines dead. Fuel gone. And Captain Jackson Cross, he was barely breathing. He sat on the floor near the control panel, helmet off, sweat on his face. His lips were dry. Oxygen was low. He checked the panel again. O2 remaining. 8 minutes. Jackson stared at the number. It blinked like it was laughing at him. 8 minutes to live. 8 minutes before everything turned black. He smiled weakly and whispered, "So this is how it ends. Not in battle, not in glory, just alone." He tried sending one more distress signal, but even the comms were fried. No voice came back. No lights. No hope. His hand fell to the floor. He closed his eyes. But just then, a shadow moved outside the ship. His eyes opened. Someone was walking across the glass. Jackson crawled to the small window and looked out. At first, he thought he was dreaming. It was a tall figure, smooth silver armor, 4 arms, glowing blue eyes. The figure was standing on the outside hull of his ship, calm, as if gravity didn't matter. "What the?" he whispered. Then the alien did something unexpected. It placed one of its hands on the ship's outer panel. A blue light glowed from its palm. The lights inside the ship flickered back on for a second. Power surge detected. External connection established. Jackson gasped. "Who are you?" There was a loud clang. The outer hatch opened. He pulled himself up weakly, crawling toward the door. Steam hissed as the door slid open. And there she stood. The alien was almost 7 feet tall. Metallic armor covered most of her body, but her face was visible. Smooth purple skin, dark ridges on her cheeks, and glowing lines that pulsed like light inside her veins. 4 strong arms hung by her sides, 2 holding tools, one with a strange tablet. She looked at him with a tilted head. Then she spoke in slow, broken English. "You, alive. Good." Jackson blinked. He coughed, trying to sit up. You fixed the power." She nodded once. "Small fix. Ship is sick. I repair more." He stared. "Why? Why help me?" The alien didn't answer. Instead, she walked past him, moving fast with silent steps. She went to the control panel, touched it with her hand again. More systems came to life. Power restored. 15%. Jackson felt air returning. Cool, sweet oxygen filled the room. He took a deep breath, then another. "You just saved my life," he said. She turned to him and gave a strange expression. It was not a smile, but something close. Then she said, "You are captain now." "What?" Jackson blinked. "Captain of what?" The alien pointed at the ship. "This. You fly. I fix. You command." He stood slowly. His legs were weak, but he managed. "Wait, who are you?" She looked at him again and said, "Zuri. That's your name, Zuri." She nodded. Then she walked toward a side panel and started opening it, revealing wires and tools Jackson had never seen before. She began working fast, like she knew every part of his ship better than he did. Jackson sat back and stared. Who was she? Why was she helping? He didn't know. But one thing was clear. He was no longer alone. Later that night, ship's cycle time, Jackson sat watching her work. Zuri didn't speak much, but every time she touched something, the ship got better. She had strange tools, like liquid metal that moved, and small flying drones that helped her. She worked with all 4 arms at once, faster than any human mechanic he'd seen. Jackson whispered to himself, "What did I just step into?" Zuri looked up. "You rest. You need strength. I rebuild." "Why are you doing this?" he asked softly. Zuri paused. You are chosen. By who? She didn't answer, just turned back to her tools. In his bunk, Jackson lay awake. His heart was racing. He had survived, yes, but something deeper had changed. Something about that alien Zuri. Something wasn't normal. She was more than just a helper. And she said he was chosen. For what? The alien mechanic with a secret. The hum of the engines was different now. Not human. Not normal. The ship felt alive. Jackson stood near the main console, watching strange lights glow across the panels. He didn't understand half of what he saw. The controls had changed. New symbols, new buttons, and wires that looked like vines instead of cables. Zuri had been working non-stop for hours. Maybe more. Time was hard to track in space, but she never seemed tired. Her 4 arms moved like clockwork, each one doing something different. Tightening a bolt, typing on her alien tablet, soldering a strange circuit, or scanning damaged parts. She hadn't said much since the rescue, but her presence filled the ship, calm, focused, strong. Jackson took a step closer. Zuri, what exactly are you doing to my ship? Without turning, she replied in her slow, smooth voice. Making it better. I can see that, but it doesn't look like my ship anymore. Zuri paused for a second. Then she looked over her shoulder. Your ship was dying. Old tech, broken design, weak shell. I fix it. Now it lives. Jackson raised an eyebrow. And what does that make you? A mechanic. Zuri didn't answer right away. Her glowing eyes looked straight at him for a moment too long. I am more, she said softly. I build. I fight. I escape. Escape. Zuri turned back to her work, as if she'd said too much. Jackson stepped closer again. He couldn't hold back. Look, you saved my life. I owe you everything. But I need to know, who are you really? There was a pause. Zuri stood up slowly. All 4 arms stopped. She looked taller now, as if standing at full height made her even more alien. She walked to the center of the ship's chamber and sat cross-legged, placing her tools beside her. You want truth? She asked. Jackson nodded. Yes. Zuri tapped a button on her wrist. A small projector lit up from her gauntlet, showing a hologram in the air, a glowing alien world. Huge towers of crystal, floating machines, silver rivers, and giant black ships hovering above the cities. This was my home, Zuri said. Planet called Virex. Beautiful, strong, dangerous. The image shifted. An army of 4-armed aliens marching through a city, ships in the sky firing beams. Explosions, screams, machines turning against their creators. I was engineer. I built war machines, ships like yours. Bigger, faster, smarter. I was one of the best. Jackson stared, trying to keep up. So what happened? Zuri's voice lowered. The Empire. They wanted me to build a weapon. A planet killer. I refused. Jackson frowned. And they let you live. Zuri's eyes flickered. No. I ran. Stole a ship. Hid in dead zones. They hunted me. For years. Jackson leaned against the wall, stunned. He looked around at his ship, his rebuilt ship, and realized what it meant. You're not just some mechanic, he said slowly. You're a wanted criminal. Wrong, Zuri said calmly. I am a survivor, a rebel. I fix because I don't want to destroy anymore. There was a long silence. Then Jackson asked, Why me? Why fix my ship? Why save me? Zuri looked at him with a strange softness in her eyes. Because you were alone, just like I was. He didn't know what to say. Zuri stood again. She walked over to a panel and touched it. The ship's lights changed color, calm blue instead of harsh white. I made your ship part of my tech, she said. It is not human anymore. It is hybrid, faster, stronger. It listens. Listens to what? To you, she said. You are its captain now. Jackson let out a small laugh. I didn't ask for this. Zuri stepped close. Neither did I. But we are in this together now. Suddenly, an alarm beeped. Jackson turned to the screen. A red dot blinked in the distance. Fast, moving toward them. What is that? He asked. Zuri narrowed her eyes. Tracker drone. Empire Tech. They found me. Jackson's heart jumped. What do we do? Zuri was already moving. We run. But the ship. It is ready, she said, grabbing her tools. You trust me? Jackson hesitated, then nodded. Yeah, I do. She smiled for the first time. Then hold on, Captain. Minutes later, the ship roared to life. It moved like nothing Jackson had flown before. Smooth, fast, almost like it could read his thoughts. The drone behind them shot a beam, narrowly missing. Zuri fired a counterstrike. The alien ship she had turned this vessel into wasn't just faster, it was dangerous. Jackson looked at her, feeling something strange in his chest. Not fear, not confusion. Connection. He didn't know what would happen next, but for the first time since being stranded, he wasn't afraid. He had Zuri, and Zuri had secrets. Big ones. Enemies in the shadows. The stars were no longer peaceful. They were sharp, cold, and full of eyes. Zuri had said nothing for hours. She sat by the window, scanning the galaxy with her strange, glowing device. Her forearms moved slowly now, almost tired. Even she needed rest, but she refused to close her eyes. Jackson didn't blame her. They had just escaped an enemy drone. Barely. If Zuri hadn't upgraded the engines, they'd be space dust. But now the question burned inside Jackson's mind. How many more were coming? He stood by the ship's control center, checking the map. No planets nearby. No safe zones. Just cold, open space. Zuri, he said quietly, why don't we just hide? She didn't turn to him. Her voice was low and steady. They can smell the tech I used. It leaves fingerprints. Tech scent. Jackson tried to joke. Sounds like something you'd buy in a weird store. Zuri didn't laugh. Empire tracking is real, she said. Their scanners are advanced. They can follow me across galaxies. I stole their core systems. They want it back. Jackson leaned on the edge of the console. Why not destroy it then? She looked at him now. Her eyes glowed softer than usual. Because this ship needs it to live. Jackson understood. This wasn't just his ship anymore. It was something else. Something alive. Something Zuri had built using the best, and most dangerous, technology she ever created. He sighed. So what now? Zuri stood slowly, stretching all four arms like a silent beast waking up. Now, she said, we go dark. An hour later, they slipped into an asteroid field. It was huge, millions of floating rocks, spinning slowly in space. Some were the size of houses, some like mountains. Jackson guided the ship between them carefully, while Zuri switched off most of the systems. No signals, she whispered. No sound. We become a shadow. Jackson nodded. The ship went silent. Only the faint hum of life support remained. Inside the dark, Jackson whispered, ever been here before? Zuri gave a slow nod. Long ago, when I first escaped. This field, it's empty. Dead zone. Empire patrols avoid it. Why? She looked at him. Because of what hides here. Before Jackson could ask, the ship jolted. A soft clang echoed from the outside. Then another. Zuri was on her feet. Suit up. Jackson ran to the wall and grabbed his gear. What was that? She grabbed her weapon. A strange glowing spear with a crystal edge. Not Empire, she said. Something worse. They stepped into the airlock. Outside, in the dim asteroid light, something floated by. It wasn't a ship. It was a body. A dead alien, frozen in space, its armor cracked, its chest torn open. Jackson flinched. What did this? Zuri scanned it. Pirates. Scavengers. Outcasts. They live here. Steal tech. Kill anything with power. Jackson's voice was low. And we're sitting in a ship full of Empire tech. Zuri nodded once. Bait. A red light blinked on her scanner. 3 incoming, she said. Small ships. No flags. No codes. Jackson's heart raced. That's bad, right? Yes. The enemy arrived fast. Small black ships shaped like knives zipped through the asteroids. They didn't fire right away. They circled instead, watching, scanning. Then a voice cracked over the comm. You there? Ship is not marked. Looks expensive. Zuri didn't answer. Another voice, sharper and darker. Come out now, and we take your ship. You live. Jackson gripped the controls. We can't fight all 3. Zuri stood behind him, placing one hand on his shoulder. We don't fight them, she said. We trap them. She tapped the console and activated something new, a cloaked panel he hadn't seen before. What is this? He asked. Ghost drive, she replied. I built it from Empire wreckage. We fake a signal. Lure them in. What happens when they get close? Zuri gave a small smile. We explode them. Moments later, the pirates moved in. The ship sent out a false signal. Power down, systems failing, emergency beacon flashing. A perfect victim. The first pirate ship locked on. The second moved closer. Zuri held her spear tightly. Wait, she whispered. Jackson's hands were sweaty on the controls. The third pirate entered the blast radius. Zuri hit the trigger. A wave of light burst from the ship, pure energy, silent and deadly. The first ship exploded instantly. The second spun out of control and slammed into an asteroid. The third fired blindly and hit the wreckage of its friend. Silence followed. Only debris remained. Jackson let out a breath he didn't know he was holding. He blinked. You just tricked them all. Zuri nodded. This is how I survived. Jackson looked at her with new eyes. Not just a mechanic, not just a fugitive, a warrior. Later, inside the ship, Jackson stared at the stars. I didn't think I'd still be alive, he said. Zuri was quiet for a long time. Then she said softly, You are stronger than you think. He turned to her. You really believe that? Zuri looked at him with a strange expression, something between respect and something more. I would not follow a weak captain, she said. Jackson smiled. You're following me now. Zuri stood tall. I fix your ship. I guard your life. I fight at your side. She paused, then said slowly, You are not just captain now. You are mine. Jackson blinked. Yours? Zuri stepped closer. In my culture, when we bond in battle, in survival, we choose. It is rare. Sacred. Jackson's heart skipped. Are you saying? Zuri nodded once. I choose you. Zuri's true identity. The stars outside looked calm. But inside the ship, Jackson's heart was racing. He sat alone in the control room, staring at the last thing Zuri said. I choose you. He didn't know what that meant. Not fully. Not yet. Zuri had gone silent since then. She returned to her tools, working on the engine room like nothing had happened. But something had happened. Something between them. It wasn't just survival anymore. It was something else. Something deeper. Jackson stood and walked to the back of the ship. He needed answers. He found her in the lower deck, inside a quiet chamber she had built herself. It was round, dark, and full of floating crystals and strange symbols glowing in the air. Alien letters danced around the walls, forming patterns that changed every few seconds. Zuri sat in the center, legs crossed, eyes closed, all 4 arms resting calmly. She looked peaceful, but powerful. Jackson hesitated at the door. Zuri. Her eyes opened. They glowed softly in the dark. You came. Jackson stepped inside. I need to understand what you meant. When you said, you chose me. Zuri stood slowly. The crystals dimmed. In my kind, she said, we don't bond with words. We bond through action, through battle, through pain, and survival. You saw me. You trusted me. That means more than words. Jackson scratched the back of his neck. Okay, but this isn't just about the ship anymore, is it? Zuri walked past him, running her hand across a crystal as she moved. No, she said quietly. It's not. Jackson turned. Then tell me who you really are. Not just the escaped engineer. Not just the fighter. The truth. Zuri stopped. Her back was to him. Then she raised her hand and tapped the side of her head. A soft hiss echoed, and her armor peeled away. Jackson's eyes widened. Zuri's full form was now visible. Not just a suit, but a living being of deep violet skin, with glowing veins that pulsed slowly. Her face was sharp, alien but beautiful, with dark patterns flowing from her forehead to her jaw like natural tattoos. Her forearms moved with grace, like they belonged to a creature not born of this galaxy. I was not just an engineer, she said. I was a royal builder, one of only 7 in the Empire. Royal. Jackson blinked. Like royalty. Zuri nodded. My blood carries code. My mind holds secrets to weapons not even the Emperor could control. That is why they wanted me. That is why I ran. Jackson stepped closer. What kind of secrets? Zuri turned and looked at him. This time, not with coldness, but sorrow. I built a weapon that could erase memory from entire planets, she said. No fire. No noise. Just silence. Civilizations turned into blank minds. Children forgetting their names. Lovers forgetting each other. History lost. Jackson felt a chill. That's horrifying. I refused to finish it, Zuri said. They said I betrayed my species, so I left. Took what I knew. Hid it in code. Hid it in this ship. Jackson's jaw tightened. So the upgrades you gave me contain parts of that knowledge, she said, but changed, safer, controlled by heart, not hate. He sat down on a nearby crate. The room spun a little. All this time, he whispered, I thought I was just a guy trying to survive. Zuri walked toward him. Now you are more. Jackson looked up. What if I don't want to be more? Zuri crouched beside him, one hand on his knee. Then I leave. I will take the tech out. Go home again. He grabbed her hand quickly. No, he said. I'm not letting you go. Zuri blinked. I don't know why, he said, voice low. But ever since you stepped on my ship, I haven't felt alone. Not once. Zuri's eyes shimmered. You remind me of someone. Long ago, someone I loved. Jackson held her hand tighter. Tell me about them. She looked away. She was brave, a fighter. My match. She died trying to protect me from the Empire. They said she was weak. I say she was the strongest of us all. Jackson let the silence sit for a moment. Then he said, I'm not her. I know that. But I'll protect you too. Zuri turned back to him, her expression unreadable, but her eyes said everything. I believe you. Suddenly, alarms rang out. Zuri's eyes flared. We're not alone. They rushed to the cockpit. The screen lit up with a signal, one that made Zuri's breath catch. Recognition code, she whispered, high level. Empire, Jackson asked. No, she said. Worse. A ship uncloaked nearby. It was massive, black and gold, covered in shifting panels and red lights. Its weapons were cold, but ready. Who is that? Jackson asked. Zuri stared at the screen. My brother. Jackson turned sharply. What? She nodded slowly. He is a war general now. They sent him to bring me back, or kill me. Then we run. No, Zuri said, standing tall. He won't destroy me. Not yet. He'll want to talk. Jackson swallowed hard. What do we do? Zuri turned to him. We go meet him. The Empire strikes back. Zuri stood in front of the glass, unmoving. Outside, her brother's warship hovered like a shadow cast across the stars, 10 times larger than theirs, covered in armor that shimmered like oil and blood. Dozens of small fighter ships floated near it like insects ready to sting. Jackson stood beside her. His heart pounded, but he stayed calm. For her. You said he wouldn't destroy us right away, Jackson whispered. You still sure? Zuri didn't answer right away. Her eyes never left the screen. His name is Rilan, she finally said. He was once kind. Strong. He used to protect me. Jackson watched her closely. And now? She turned to him, voice low. Now he protects the Empire. A sharp tone beeped. A signal request. Zuri accepted it. The ship's screen flickered, and Rilan appeared. He looked like her. Same glowing eyes. Same markings, but colder. Sharper. His armor was heavy, gold-lined with red symbols. He sat on a throne of metal and wires, surrounded by silence. His eyes narrowed as he looked at Zuri. You're alive, he said flatly. Zuri stayed calm. You already knew that. Rilan nodded once. Your trail was easy to follow. You leave pieces of yourself in everything you touch. He looked past her, spotting Jackson in the background. A human. Rilan's voice dropped. You've fallen far. Jackson stepped forward. I'm Jackson, and I'm standing with her. Rilan almost smiled. Cute, but dangerous. He looked back at Zuri. You always cared too much. First that girl, now this boy. Zuri's fists clenched, all 4 of them. What do you want, Rilan? His eyes glowed brighter. You know what I want. The core you stole, the memory tech. Return it, and you'll live. Zuri shook her head. No. Rilan's voice turned sharp. This is treason. This is freedom, Zuri replied. I'm not your slave anymore. You were never a slave. You were family. Family doesn't erase minds. Rilan's face darkened. You have 1 hour. After that, we take the ship by force. If you survive, you will be judged. If you resist. He paused. You die together. The screen went black. Silence filled the ship. Jackson turned to Zuri. Can we run? She didn't answer. He stepped closer. Zuri. She looked down at her hands. All 4 of them were trembling. I never thought he would actually find me, she whispered. Not him. Anyone but him. Jackson placed a hand on her shoulder. Then we fight. She looked up at him, her voice weak. We can't win. Then we try. You said I was your captain. That we're a team. So we don't go down easy. Zuri stared at him, and something changed in her eyes. Strength returned. Yes, she said. We fight. They rushed to the ship's core chamber. Zuri began unlocking secret systems, revealing weapons and upgrades she had hidden, even from Jackson. This, she said, is a shadow cannon. Illegal even in the Empire. Fires silent matter. Passes through shields. I built it during the war. Never used it. Jackson whistled. We'll use it now. She nodded and kept going. And this, stealth nets, wraps us in pure void. Hides heat, sound, movement. For 10 seconds only. After that, it burns out. We use those 10 seconds right. She turned to him. You're learning fast. Jackson smiled. Good teacher. Time passed. Countdown ticking. 1 hour became 5 minutes. Then 1. Outside, Rilan's ship powered up. Fighters took position. Missile bays opened. Then, they struck first. Zuri launched the stealth net. For 10 seconds, they vanished from enemy eyes. Inside that time, Jackson flew straight at the enemy line, weaving through fighter ships. They locked onto Raylan's flagship. Zuri aimed the shadow cannon. "Now?" Jackson asked. "Now." She fired. The silent blast tore through space. No light, no sound, just a ripple. It hit the flagship's wing. Metal bent and cracked. Fires exploded inside. The enemy ship scrambled. Then the stealth net ended, and they were visible again. Red lights locked onto them. Raylan's voice returned, angry now. "You made your choice." Zuri stood at the console. "And I'll make another." She activated the warp drive, not to escape, but to teleport inside the enemy ship. Jackson turned to her. "Wait, are we boarding them?" Zuri nodded. "I built their system. I can break it. We end this from within." They appeared inside Raylan's ship. Dark hallways, red alarms. Zuri moved like a ghost, all 4 arms ready. Jackson followed, gun in hand. Guards attacked. Zuri disabled them without killing. Fast, silent. They reached the core room, a giant red orb glowing in the heart of the ship. Raylan was waiting. "So you came." Zuri stepped forward. "No more running. You always had fire," Raylan said. "But now you're burning everything." "I'm burning chains." They fought. Brother and sister. Power's precision. Raylan used force. Zuri used speed. Jackson tried to help, but this fight was personal. In the end, Zuri stood over Raylan, breathing hard. He was on the floor, hurt but alive. "You won't kill me," he said. "No," Zuri replied, "but I'll make sure you never follow again." She erased his command codes from the core, cutting him off from the fleet. Then she turned to Jackson. "Let's go home." Back on their ship, silence returned. The stars were calm again. Jackson sat beside her in the cockpit. "You okay?" he asked. Zuri didn't answer at first. Then she looked at him. "I'm not free yet, but I'm closer." Jackson smiled. "What now?" Zuri looked ahead at the galaxy. "We find others like us. We build something new. Not empire, not rebellion. Something better." Jackson nodded. "You have a name for it." Zuri smiled faintly. "Yes, we call it unity. Bound by blood and code." Jackson woke up with a headache. His eyes blinked open to soft blue lights above him. The ship was quiet, too quiet. He tried to sit up. Pain shot through his chest. A hiss of air escaped his lips. "What happened?" "You were hit," came Zuri's voice. She stood beside him, arms crossed. Her face looked calm, but her eyes betrayed worry. "During the escape, a shock pulse caught you in the chest. You blacked out. I pulled you back." Jackson groaned and sat up slowly. "Feels like someone threw a planet at me." Zuri's lips twitched. Half a smile. "You felt worse." "Have I?" he asked. She nodded. "The first time I found you, you had 8 minutes of oxygen left." Jackson chuckled, then winced. "Right. That." Zuri handed him a small cup. "Drink. It will help." He sipped it. It tasted like warm metal and wild berries. As the pain faded, Jackson looked at her again. "Zuri, what's wrong?" She hesitated. Then she said, "The ship is changing." "What do you mean?" Zuri walked to the control panel and touched it. Lights rippled across the ship like a heartbeat. "It's not just tech now. It's connected to us, to our DNA. It listens, learns, it adapts." Jackson frowned. "Is that a problem?" Zuri looked over her shoulder. "It depends. The deeper the bond, the more it needs us. And the more we need each other." Jackson sat in silence for a moment. Then he asked, "Are you saying we're bonded to the ship?" Zuri nodded. "By blood," she said, "and by code." Later that day, The ship drifted through a quiet nebula. Bright purple gas clouds shimmered around them. It was beautiful, but Jackson could feel something off. "Navigation's lagging," he said. "Is it the gas?" Zuri checked her scanner. "No, it's the ship. It's doing something on its own." Jackson looked at her. "What?" She didn't answer. Then, without warning, the lights flickered. The ship turned. On its own. "What's it doing?" Jackson yelled. Zuri's voice was tense. "It's taking us somewhere. I don't know why." Jackson grabbed the controls. "Override." Zuri shook her head. "You can't. It's not listening to commands." "Then who is it listening to?" Zuri's eyes went wide. She turned slowly toward him. "You," she whispered. Jackson blinked. "What?" "You were injured. The ship scanned your blood. It must have activated a deeper connection. Now it's following your unconscious thoughts." Jackson stared at the stars. "I don't remember thinking anything." Zuri moved to the front screen. The nebula cleared, and a small moon appeared, a cold gray sphere. Silent, unmarked, but not empty. They landed on the moon's surface. It was quiet, dusty, ancient. As they stepped outside in their suits, the ground crunched underfoot. Winds moved slowly, carrying soft sounds like whispers. Jackson looked around. "This place feels familiar." Zuri scanned the surface. It shouldn't. No records of this moon. Not in Empire logs. Not in Rebel archives. They walked toward a strange structure, half buried in stone. It looked like a door. Tall, smooth, glowing with the same light as Zuri's veins. Her eyes widened. "This is Virexi design. Ancient, lost tech." "How did I leave us here?" Jackson asked. Zuri turned slowly. "Because the ship read something in your blood. A memory. A dream. Something buried deep." "Zuri," Jackson said, voice low, "what if this isn't just about you anymore?" She nodded slowly. It never was. Inside the structure, they found a chamber. Circular, silent. In the center stood a glowing pillar. Zuri stepped closer, and it lit up. It spoke. "Welcome, Builder Zuri. Welcome, Hybrid Jackson." Jackson froze. "It knows my name." Zuri looked stunned. "That's impossible. This place is from my ancestors. It predates the Empire." "You are the one," the voice continued. "Born of Earth, bonded by alien blood. You carry the code." Jackson's heart raced. "What code?" Zuri whispered. "The weapon code. The one I hid." "You hid it in me." "No," she said quickly. "I only used parts of your blood to power the hybrid systems. I didn't know it would evolve." "The weapon is awake," the voice said. "The choice is yours. Use it to destroy, or erase it forever." Zuri turned to Jackson. "You have to decide," she said. "I don't understand." "You don't need to. You feel it, don't you? The power inside, the connection, the ship, the tech, me, all linked to you now." Jackson stared at the pillar, then back at her. "I don't want to destroy." Zuri stepped forward. "Then we end it. Together." They placed their hands on the pillar, together. The light grew. Their veins lit up. The ship, still parked on the moon, hummed louder, sensing with them. And then, silence. The chamber dimmed. The voice was gone. Weapon deleted. Core memory erased. System purified. Jackson fell to his knees, exhausted. Zuri caught him, holding him with all four arms. "You did it," she said softly. "No," he whispered. "We did." Back on the ship, the lights were softer now. Calm. Zuri sat beside him, brushing his arm with one of her hands. "You're different now," she said. "So are you," Jackson replied. Zuri smiled. "We are bound now. Truly. Not by war, but by choice." Jackson looked at her. Does that mean? She nodded. Yes, you are not just my captain. He reached for her hand. And you are not just my engineer. They sat in silence, watching the stars. Together, captain of her heart. The stars were no longer running. They were waiting. Waiting for something new to rise. Zuri stood at the front of the ship, staring into space. Her long fingers danced across the glowing controls. Her 4 arms moved with perfect precision, each one in sync with the living system she helped build. Jackson sat beside her, his hand steady on the steering panel. The ship didn't just respond to him now. It felt him, fought with him. Their bond had changed it forever. We're not just flying, Jackson said quietly. We're becoming something more. Zuri nodded. We're not just traveling. We're choosing a path. Unity, Jackson said. Zuri's lips curled into a gentle smile. Yes, a new kind of force. One that doesn't conquer, but connects. But peace didn't last. A blinking red signal cut through the moment. Emergency transmission. Zuri opened it. A shaky alien voice broke through the static. To anyone. Please help. Under attack. Empire fleet. Massive. No warning. Zuri looked at Jackson. He didn't hesitate. We go. They arrived near a burnt-out station. Fires drifted in space. Broken ships floated like bones. But not all were dead. A few ships, a rebel crew, a science vessel, even a trader ship, were huddled behind a cracked shield generator. And facing them was the Empire, a full battle cruiser, sharp and brutal. Its armor was covered in fresh war paint, blood red. Jackson's jaw clenched. They're sending a message. Zuri scanned the enemy ship. This is no ordinary fleet. It's led by a Warden Class I, a leftover commander, after my brother fell. And I, Zuri nodded, programmed to finish what others failed. Ruthless, cold, no heart. Jackson turned to her. Then let's show it what a heart can do. They opened a channel. Zuri's voice rang through space. You do not belong here. This zone is under protection. The AI replied. Zuri Builder. Hybrid Captain. You are error. Return the core. Submit to deletion. Jackson leaned in. We deleted the weapon. There's nothing left. False. You are the weapon now. Zuri whispered. It's right. You carry part of it. It bonded with your blood. Jackson looked out the window at the ships hiding behind the shield. They're waiting for someone to stand up. Zuri placed all 4 of her hands on his. Then stand tall, my captain. The final battle began. Jackson flew the Unity with impossible grace. Zuri handled weapons and shields. Their minds moved as one. The Empire AI launched dozens of drones, fast, armored, relentless. But Unity was faster. Zuri's hybrid tech tore through enemy shields. Jackson danced between plasma beams, guiding the ship like it was part of his own body. Still, the AI adapted. It targeted Unity's weak points. A drone fired a smart bomb. It hit their engine. Explosion. Sparks flew. Unity spun out of control. Jackson hit his head. Blood dripped down. Zuri caught him, her voice shaking. Jackson. I'm okay, he whispered. But the ship wasn't. The AI's voice returned. Weapon unstable. Ending threat. The Empire ship charged a planet-killer beam. Its light filled the sky. Zuri screamed. No. She reached into the ship's core, literally opened the panel with her bare hands. Her veins glowed. Her eyes turned bright white. Override sequence, she said. Energy transfer. Zuri, what are you doing? Jackson asked. Giving Unity what it needs, she said. The ship's systems flared with power. Shields came back online. The cannon charged again. But Zuri was changing, her body weakening. You're burning yourself out, Jackson shouted. Zuri smiled gently. I was made to build weapons, but now I build hope. No, I'm not losing you, Jackson said. He connected his hand to the console, his blood mixed with hers, fused by code and heart. Unity responded. Link complete, Captain and Creator synchronized. The final beam charge. Jackson and Zuri aimed at the enemy ship, firing Unity pulse. A silent light exploded from their ship, pure energy of memory, emotion, and will. It hit the Empire ship, not with fire, with truth. The AI stuttered. Its systems glitched. Its memory wiped. One by one, the enemy drones shut down. The cruiser dimmed, and then went cold. Silence. Victory. Later, the rescued ships hailed Unity with gratitude. But Jackson wasn't smiling. Zuri had collapsed. He carried her to the med bay. Her skin flickered. Her veins dimmed. "Don't leave me," he whispered. She opened her eyes weakly. "I won't," she said. "But you gave it everything." "I didn't give everything," she whispered. "I still have you." Jackson held her close. "You're not going anywhere. Not without your captain." She smiled. "Captain of my ship." She touched his chest. "And captain of my heart." He kissed her forehead. "You're my engineer, my shield, my spark. We're bound, remember." Her eyes closed, peaceful, and slowly they began to glow again. Weeks passed. Unity became more than a ship. It became a symbol. Zuri and Jackson led a growing alliance. Not rebels, not an empire. Just beings who wanted to build, to connect, to protect. The galaxy whispered their name, not with fear, but with hope. Final log entry, Captain Jackson Cross. She rebuilt my ship, then claimed me as her captain. And more. I came from nothing. I was lost in space, dying and alone. But she saw something in me. Not a pilot, not a weapon, not a hero, just a choice. And I chose her back.